He's getting revenge for what our parents did to him.
Oh my god, we're murder nepo babies.
Alright, so just got done watching the first 2 episodes of Goosebumps, and let's just run it down. So in the first episode, you definitely get the feeling of this being in the upper northwest part of the US and its location and feel. You kind of get that, I don't know, that Seattle vibe, that Portland, Oregon vibe, all that kind of good stuff on there. So that's like the vibe that you get, and that's prevalent through all the first 2 episodes. The young actors, gotta be honest with you, they're annoying in this, especially in the first episode. It's just not great. The adult ones are a slight nudge better, but not by much. It's a little difficult to go ahead and actually deal with the acting and the dialogue and the direction that everybody was given in that first episode. It was kind of rough. The premise for like the artifact, because there's basically these episodes are going to seem that they're going to concentrate on a particular artifact and then drive the story forward. And the premise was good in the first one, but just the execution and everything, the way it was written and acted around, just was not good on that overall. There was one particular scene that I did like. It was on the football field. You'll kind of see, I think it's like roughly, it's done with about maybe like 15 minutes left in the episode. I did like that in regards to the special effects, the dramatization that was done there, especially at halftime, and what kind of came through that. That was actually done pretty well. So it's not like the whole episode was a loss, but it was a brief, a brief oasis there. But if this one episode was kind of like, what I had to go and actually judge it off of, it would be just like an absolute no. Okay, just being honest for episode 1. Now in episode 2, we get significantly better in regards to the premise and the execution. It appears that it's a different, as I said before, it's a different artifact or item of evil or anything like that, and it's going to kind of follow the Goosebumps series as having a different item and a different theme going for that. But in this series, it's all going to arch in one big storyline. We also get confirmed on there that it is a coming of evil, a recompense for the adults that have grown up in that town, and it's almost like an evil that's being done unto their children type of thing. It's a tire trope that has been gone down from all kinds of different things, like Pretty Little Liars or Nightmare on Elm Street. There's just many different movies that have done that same premise, and same thing here is what's going on. The story and the scares are just better overall in this second episode. Again, not top-notch acting or anything like that, but the stories and the premise is done a little bit better. The dialogue is okay. Again, it's just story. This particular item led to it being written a little bit better, and the dynamic between the main actress that's playing Isabella, and between her and her brother and all that kind of stuff in there, it just played a little bit better. And then at the end of this episode, it does make you want to watch the third one, especially if you're into the series at that point, because it is a cliffhanger type of thing that really draws you in. I'll give it that for the end of that second episode. So those are my initial thoughts for the first 2 episodes. So this is what it kind of leads me to. In regards to the storytelling, like each artifact and item of evil and all that kind of stuff on there is creepy and spooky in and of themselves, but how they're entered into the story is kind of weird and awkward, and just it's not organic at all. And it kind of lessens the entertainment value of the premise, because if you introduce it in kind of like such an awkward way or way that doesn't make sense or anything like that, it just kind of makes the entertainment value kind of go down on it. So I was kind of feeling that. The dialogue is just not good. Doesn't matter which episode you watch. I mean, it's slightly better, I guess, in the second episode, but overall the dialogue was not well written. You can definitely tell that this is watered down for young adults to go ahead and actually kind of understand or get the premise or what have you. And then the jump between the humor, the drama, and the horror aspect of things is so uneven that you get taken out of scenes because the tone is like all over the place. and they don't really want to stick with one tone on there. I'll compare it to a recent review that I had of like Shelter, that's on Prime Video, where that one's a very similar type of thing of a young adult type of series and mystery and things of that nature, but it kept its tone to mostly of being like the crime solving, a little bit of horror to it, but not really much. It was more like a dramatic aspect of things. And then the comedy was like a quick break in there to just kind of loosen up things. And then it kind of got back to the drama, where here it's, we stay comical for a little bit or over the top for a little bit. And then we kind of go into, but now we're trying to be dramatic. And it's just uneven, and it kind of takes you out of various different scenes. So that was kind of weird. So overall, I would go ahead and actually give the storytelling here like a C, and that's mostly held up because of the premise of the artifacts. If I went actually just based it off of the acting and the dialogue and the pacing aspect of things, it'll probably be a lower grade. But the premise is still solid because there's these Goosebumps items that they really are pushing, and they still are very interesting. In regards to the acting, the young actors are kind of like what I expected. They're not really very entertaining or engaging, and they're given bad dialogue and direction on there, so it's not on their fault. But they don't add any depth to the character. It doesn't really feel much like, there's a lot there, what have you, and so that's where you kind of, it kind of flames out a little bit. The adults in here are a little bit better. They're about average, not some of their best work. Not horrible, but just it's passable. I think Justin Long is about the best thing in here, and he's about average in this. He does a pretty good aspect of trying to work with what he's given, but just it doesn't always work. I will say, of the young actors, if I was going to give anybody a shout out, there's Issa Briones as Margot, and Anna Puig as Isabel. In their roles, I think that they're passable, pretty, and maybe leaning towards a little bit on the decent side or what have you. Everybody else is kind of like either they're just below average or just like so that's kind of how I feel about the acting. I'd probably say acting is probably somewhere like around about a C minus or so. So some lasting thoughts and impressions that I have about this before I go on to the verdict. There's definitely, so in regards to my expectations, confirmed that there's the interconnected stories to the overarching story on there. So I thought that was going to be a thing. It definitely is. It is a bit corny, as I predicted, especially in the first episode. It was very much like a Disney high school type of feel to it, which is just annoying on there to sit through as a regular adult. Maybe young adults can go ahead and actually vibe with it, but man, it was just so cringe. The jokes and the personalities are just a little bit too much for me, so it is what it is. But it was an expectation. We got the confirmation that the parents are kind of like the ones that cause the issues and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of got that confirmed. Nothing really stands out in this series. It's an okay selection, but it's definitely not a must-watch type of series. So that leads me into my verdict. For fans of Goosebumps, young adult series, campy horror, whatever, I am going to recommend that you watch the first 2 episodes. Here's the reasons. The first one is strictly to kind of get to know the character, so you can kind of know what you're dealing with and all that kind of stuff. And it's an okay premise, so there's some entertainment value in watching, the premise of what's going on there. But real fans will want to get to the second episode to determine if you want to continue on, because it's a better fleshed out story, and the character of Isabel is actually doing better. And at the end of that episode, as I stated, it will really pull you into it if the story is really resonating with you at the time. Now, for my casual viewers, unfortunately, I'm going to have to say it's a skip it. I really wanted to casually like this show, because I did back in the 90s. But the terrible acting and dialogue didn't help this particular series. And even though the items or focus of each episode is intriguing, there's not much entertainment value surrounding watching the story play out. We can kind of see how the destination of the series is going to play out without even watching it, but the journey doesn't even seem like it's going to be fun in this series. So again, for main target audience members, I'm going to go ahead and actually encourage you to watch the first 2 episodes, but for casual viewers, I'm going to say it's a skip it. And that's what I have for Goosebumps on both Hulu and Disney Plus. Check it out.
It's time for them to learn the truth. Come with me.
I get those goosebumps every time.
You stayed with me for the entire thing. I appreciate you. Do me a favor. If you like what I'm throwing out here, go ahead and actually click a like for me. If it's even a little bit better, really appreciate you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and actually help me grow my channel, what have you. Or watch one of these other videos, see if there's another review that you like of mine. But until that time, I'll holler at you. Take care of yourself.